Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. A huge, warm welcome to all you brilliant young learners tuning in today. I am just so incredibly excited you're here with me because we are about to go on a really hilarious, interactive story adventure. Today we're looking at a fantastic tale about two very silly brothers named Mac and Mac, also known as the Noodleheads. I'm going to be your guide and mentor as we explore their crazy story. Plus, we're going to learn 5 fantastic new English words, practice 5 key sentences, and discover what it truly means to learn something new. So get your high fives ready because we are going to have a blast.
Now, before we jump into the deep water with Mac and Mac, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever made a totally silly mistake while trying to learn something new? You know, like maybe putting your shoes on the wrong feet or spilling juice everywhere when you first learned how to pour it? Well, I want to let you in on a little secret. Making mistakes is totally, 100% okay. Actually, scratch that. It's absolutely crucial. Mistakes are exactly how our brains grow. Our goofy friends, the Noodleheads, well, they make a ton of mistakes today. But as you'll see, that definitely doesn't stop them from having a great time.
All right, let's get into section 1, learning something new.
And that brings us right to our very first key English word of the day, learn. It means to gain knowledge or a new skill. Can you say learn out loud with me? Ready? 1, 2, 3, learn. Fantastic job. Go ahead and give yourselves a huge high five to celebrate. Whether it's learning to tie your shoes or learning to ride a bike, gaining a new skill is really what learning is all about. In our story, Max and Mac's mom gave them a very special challenge. She told them to stop sitting inside being bored, go outside and actually learn something brand new today.
So, the Noodleheads decided to take their mom's advice, and they said our first key English sentence of the day. Let's read this sentence out loud together, with lots of enthusiasm. Ready? We can learn something new. Man, great reading. They decided that the shiny new thing they wanted to learn was how to catch a real fish. You see, they found a frozen fish stick in the house and thought, hey, maybe we can go out and catch more of these. Let's see how that goes for them.
Moving on to section 2, silly boat building.
Now, to reach the deep water where the fish actually live, they obviously needed a boat. But because they're Noodleheads, their thinking is a little bit, well, silly. They came up with a brilliant 3-step plan. A friend had told them that if they feed a tiny toy boat and take a nap, it'll grow into a giant boat. So here's what they did. Step 1. Mac and Mac put their snacks and a shiny coin into their little toy boat. Step 2. They take a nice, long nap. And step 3. They wake up and see a big boat. Let's stop and think about this for a second. Do you really think feeding a plastic toy a cracker is how boats grow? No way, of course not. But the Noodleheads absolutely believed it.
Which naturally leads us to our second vocabulary word of the day, boat. A boat is a small vehicle used for traveling on water. Let's say it together on the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. Boat! Awesome! Hit me with another high five right there. You are doing an incredible job.
So, what actually happened while they were sleeping? Well, the Noodleheads woke up from their nap and saw a real boat rental just sitting right there on the water. And because they're so silly, they wrongly assumed their tiny little toy had grown up while they slept. Let's cheerfully read our second key sentence together right now. Ready? The boat grew up. They had actually just found a boat they could rent using their shiny coin, but they were so super proud of themselves for quote-unquote growing it.
All right, section 3, going fishing. Okay, so now that they have a big grown-up boat, they need to actually get it to move so they can go fishing, right? They grab some long sticks and try to paddle, but they quickly run into a huge problem. And this problem has to do with our third vocabulary word, rope. A rope is a really strong, thick string made by twisting threads together. Can you say rope nice and clearly for me? 1, 2, 3. Rope. Perfect. You are being such amazing learners today. Give yourselves another high five. Now this part brilliantly illustrates why they were having such an incredibly hard time out there. First, they think to themselves, boating is fun. But then they suddenly realize, oh wait, boating is hard. Why is it so hard? Because they are completely stuck. A super short rope is tying their boat down to the land. So no matter how hard they push and shove with those sticks, they can't move out into the deep water. They are literally stuck at the shore. And guess what? This is our 4th word today. The shore is the land along the edge of a sea, lake, or any other body of water. It's exactly where the boys are tied up right now. Let's practice singing it together. 1, 2, 3. Shore. Wonderful. This brings us to Section 4, the escaped fish.
Eventually, the boys finally figure out they need a longer rope. They get one, make it all the way out to the deep water, and use some gummy worms to find a fish. But this tricky little fish absolutely doesn't want to be caught. The fish tricks them by swimming far away and pointing to his head, then zipping to the other side and pointing to his tail, making the Noodleheads think his body stretches all the way across. Let's read our third key sentence out loud together. You're too big to fit in our boat. The silly Noodleheads actually believed this tiny little fish was the size of a giant whale.
That clever fish totally convinced them he was the biggest. And hey, that is our fifth and final vocabulary word today. Biggest means the largest in size, amount, or degree. Let's hear it loud and proud, folks. 1, 2, 3, biggest! Okay, I'm gonna need the absolute biggest high five yet for that one, because you are doing so incredibly well.
All right. I need you to put on your critical thinking hats for a second. The tricky fish asks for all the gummy worms and promises to just meet them right back at the shore. Now, let's think about this. Why is it a terrible idea to throw all your bait directly into the mouth of the fish and actually expect him to wait for you back on land? You guessed it, because he's just going to eat your food and swim away.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, the moral.
Sure enough, after the big fish splashed away with all of their gummy worms, Mac and Mac went back to the shore completely empty-handed. But on their way back, they stop and talk to Miss Froggy at the bait shop, and she teaches them a very famous classic idiom. Let's read our fourth key sentence, this funny little idiom, together. The biggest fish is always the one that got away. This is a fun saying that means people always exaggerate and pretend the fish they missed out on catching was absolutely huge. The Noodleheads definitely learned that lesson today.
When Mac and Mac finally get home, they proudly tell their mom that they actually learned 3 whole things. Now, let's read our fifth and final key sentence together, straight from their list. You have to learn the ropes. Now, even though they made a ton of super silly mistakes, and even though they failed to catch a single real fish, they succeeded in exactly what their mom asked them to do in the first place. They learned. And honestly, that is the most important lesson of all.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. So, I have one last question for you. What new and silly thing will you learn today, even if you make a mistake? I really want to challenge you to be brave, just like the Noodleheads. Go outside, try something completely new, embrace your failures and silly mistakes as amazing learning tools, and always stay curious. You never know what a tricky fish might teach you out there. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you on our next adventure.